before we go into the details of this podcast episode, this YouTube video, I have something so exciting, so amazing to share with you. I've done a free masterclass recently because I wanted to give you a taste of what this new chapter is about. I'm launching my first ever course program, however you want to call it. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's been a long time coming. I've always loved to work with people in groups. This is a group program and it's called Your Soul's Compass. It's a 3 months journey to really embody your birth chart and create the life that you desire. If you've been following me for a while, I had a podcast and I wrote a book to help you create the life that you desire. And now I bring astrology into the mix because astrology is not something to learn, just to learn. It's something that you can live. So this is really a beautiful 3 month container for the spiritual, heart-led, astrology loving souls who are ready to really stop just like learning about astrology or be curious about astrology and start embodying it. This is gonna be life changing. It's gonna be live on online for everybody who wants to join. And we're going to go on a journey to astrology, astrocartography, ritual, and embodied practices to help you reconnect with your truth, with your inner compass, and to be empowered to take the aligned action required to create the life that you desire. This is not one on-off reading. This is not a masterclass. This is really a soulful, supportive journey back home to yourself. We're gonna go live bi-weekly. It's gonna be like amazing. I'm gonna have guests coming in to guide you through practice. I'm gonna talk about astrocartography, astrology in the program container. You will have weekly astro guidance video with ritual and tool to navigate the astrology of each week. We're gonna have astrocartography and how you can use this beautiful tool if you want to travel, but also to bring the energies to you. If you're not a traveler, you're going to have a private community space that feels like a beautiful connection of other like-minded souls. And you can upgrade to a VIP version to have in one-on-one session with me. And there's nothing like a birth chart or an astrology, astrocartography chart. It's really a mastermind session with me. So join this program. It's going to start on September 12th. It's going to go until December. The closing call will be on December. It's going to be a 3 month journey, immersion into astrology. And it's going to be so powerful. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to have you in there. So if you want all the information for all the dates, the prices, and all of that, check the link in my bio or in the show notes as well to get all the information. And if you have any questions, make sure to reach out to me at luana@luanabossetti.com. My email is open for you. And I really would like to help you really embody astrology so you can create the life that you truly desire. So I'm so excited. Join me in this course. And now I'll let you go back to the episode. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Astro Wanderer. So today we start a new segment, which I'm so excited about because I wanted to bring people again on the podcast to talk about astrology. This is called the Conversation Under the Stars because that's what we're going to be talking about, astrology. And I'm going to bring into this segment people that have readings with me, people that are interested in astrology, that they watch videos about it, that they use it in their day-to-day life, so you can have an idea also of how astrology is not just up in the stars, but you can bring it down into the earth and use it in your day-to-day life. So without further ado, let's welcome our first guest of this session. So Stephen, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So, first of all, I want to know, how did you come in contact with astrology? Is it something that you were always interested in, or you start following somebody? Like, what's your astrology journey?
So I actually first heard about astrology when I was a teenager, which is pretty interesting because that's, quite a bit of time ago. And I'd always kind of been interested in, I studied atmospheric science, so I was interested in science my whole life too. And I was interested in like kind of understanding the world, understanding how the world works, understanding the progression of events and stuff like that. But weirdly enough, I stepped away from it for a while because when I was 22, I dated someone who had the same exact birthday and year as me, and we ended up not really
Ooh.
having anything in common. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, shoot, so then I kind of came back to it a little bit later, after some additional events.
Okay, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because what was your thought? Like, okay, this person have the same like birth chart as me, but we have nothing in common. How is that possible? Did it make you like kind of not believe in that anymore?
Yeah, I think at the time I didn't understand the importance of the ascendant.
Mm,
So we did have a different birth time, and that created,
yeah.
a different chart. But and also one of the other things I didn't understand that much is how people who you have like say mostly similarities with, but a couple of opposites could end up being the biggest areas of like disconnect or even conflict. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we have all our planets lined up in the same area, but maybe like mine's in the top right part of the chart, which it is, and hers could have been like in the bottom left part or the top left or something. And so kind of really pointed us, whereas like I was very pointed outward, always have been. And she was like the homebody type person, and that created
Mm.
some tension. So maybe it was all about the ascendant, but at the time I just didn't understand that really that well.
Yeah. And it's like it's determined by the ascendant because as like the ascendant rules your first house. So then obviously the each house is like an area of your life. So if maybe for you you have a planet in the 12th house and somebody has it in the sixth house, it's completely opposite energy. So even if you were born on the same day, that like doesn't matter. And yeah, I'm glad you brought up the ascendant because it's so important because it changes every 30 minutes. So even if I was born the same day as you were born 30 minutes before me and I was born 30 minutes after you, we might have a different ascendant. So our chart is different because we are ruled by different planets and we have different like house systems. So that's really, really important. But yes, after that, like realization, when did you come back to like astrology?
So it wasn't like really like a linear path,
Mm,
I'm trying to think exactly. Mostly, I think it was kind of a little bit of a dark night of the soul type of moment that I had, which was a few years before the pandemic, but
mm,
where I was just kind of looking for answers in a way. And like I knew that like so I was raised Catholic, and I stepped away from the Catholic Church around the same time when I was a teenager. I got nothing against Catholicism, and I've gone to some Protestant churches since then to because I just decided in that scheme that I thought Martin Luther was right when he said you shouldn't sell indulgences, but that's a whole separate issue. But
mhm.
I don't know. I just like I started taking some time to reflect, and one of the things I reflect was that there was like many different paths, like and that's kind of like maybe like one of my biggest beefs with some of the traditional religions is that they act like this is the one path, this is the only path, and if you
Yeah.
do anything else, you are wrong and you are going to suffer eternally for it. Whereas like there are like many different paths. So I started looking into some of this stuff and it would pop up on my YouTube, it would pop up on some of these other things. And some of the things actually started to make sense, especially finding out that I have like say a Mars placement in Libra because the Mars in Libra resonated with me for my placement because it means I am willing to fight for balance, for restoring balance. And I think about
Yeah.
even when I think people are having a conversation and it's out of balance and I always feel the need to be the one that steps in and says something different to try to like bring them back into, into whatever the balance, like, okay, this group of people is getting too much attention. This person is thinking too far on this way and too far on that way.
Yeah, and you are actually like the living manifestation of Mars in Libra, creating your business as well, like in
Yeah.
creating balance in the life of people, like between on offline and online, and living a life that it's not only like off online with technology, and your opposite side being having that Aries also. I think your Aries ascendant, is that correct?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So that relationship that you have to have with yourself first of balance, and then you bring it into other people as well. So that's really a placement that you are already like living it. So that's interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need to investigate things a little bit further because I know, I think you use the term pop astrology for people who
Yes.
kind of like just really only understand like their sun sign or something. And there's a lot of people. I mean, think about that song from way back in the day, or people just saying like, "Hi, I can say like, hi, I'm Stephen J. I'm a Sagittarius," and I really told you nothing other than maybe I'm more likely than most to get a little bit spiritual on things.
Yeah. Yeah, and your sun sign, it's so like also like misunderstood with the rising sign, how people see you, how people don't see you. So yeah, it's really important for me to really help people have a bigger understanding of astrology, not just because you were born in April, you are a Taurus, and you were born in like December, you're a Sagittarius, and all of that. It's really important to go deeper into that. So my next question is about like when did you really get deeper and started to like understand some things, and then I think we met as well. We had a reading where you were really focused on understanding the ascendant, I remember as well. So how was that path for you?
Well, I mean, like a lot of people ended up with a lot of spare time on their hands when the pandemic hit.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's where I started getting a bit deeper because like I mean, I still trip up a little bit with like remembering what each of the houses are. And
Mm.
I still obviously turn to you to understand these progressed moons and other progressed. I know the progressed moon is one of your favorite
Oh yeah.
tools that you use, and it's something that I never thought of because I'd always thought of the birth chart as static, and that people just relate to each other based on how that varies, and that certain transits will come in and impact it. As an Aries ascendant, I'm bracing for first Saturn and then Neptune to you
Yeah.
know cross over my birth chart placements there, my birth ascendant and everything. But yeah, the pandemic did give me a little bit of extra time because eventually, as most people encountered during the pandemic, you get a little bit tired of getting drunk with your friends on Zoom. That's what a lot of us did. Let's just be 100%
Yes.
honest, right? And or there'll be days where I can't convince anyone, or the weather's not nice enough for to walk with me 6 feet apart from each other at a park in the city here. So I, gave me a chance to investigate a lot of things. And I've always been the kind of person that wants to contemplate the nature of things, like even like why people do what they do and why people behave the way they behave, which is a big part of my screen time reduction technology balance program. It's like, why do we pick the behaviors we pick?
Yeah, you ask the deeper question. You want to know like the truth behind the things, which is also very like Sagittarius as well. So I
Yeah,
don't
it
remember when
is.
did we first like talk about astrology? Because I remember, yeah, we have been on each other's podcasts when my podcast was more like about helping people to create the life that they desire. But then I started doing astrology, and then I think that's when we really like came in contact using like for astrology and then astrocartography as well.
Yeah, so I remember, we met over the podcasting and we kind
Yeah.
of popped in on each other's podcasts. And I think the first interviews we did were not really that much about astrology, but we still like kind of talked about it and like an interest that kind of comes up, and it's something that actually comes up a lot more even in my life in Denver here. Kind of I go to a lot of networking events, I meet a lot of people. Yesterday I did this like breakfast club for the first time. I'm always like meeting new people, new new groups. And it's one of those things where, in the broader spirituality, there's this idea that, your thought creates form in a way that like the thoughts in your head kind of then reflect in the world around you. And so somehow when I did all this deep introspection work, both in my dark night of the soul before the pandemic, and then kind of during the pandemic when I was just pissed off about how people were handling the pandemic and stuff like that. I did a lot of work on myself. And, when you change your thought process, you change what comes back to you. And I just started noticing that the conversations about astrology actually would just kind of naturally come up way more frequently. And I think we were just having one of our check-ins because, we were on each other's podcast, but we would also kind of just, every several months, just have a call to check in and how everything's going, and the topic would come up. And then you had the idea of like kind of a couple years ago talking on my show about the astrological transits that
Oh
were
yeah.
coming up, the ones that we're living through now.
Oh yeah, that's true. I totally forgot about that. I think I came to talk about
Yeah.
Pluto. I think that
Yep.
was the main one, like the era of Aquarius that was like starting to peek in into our lives and then like expanded then this year. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously we connected with that.
Yeah. And I know that that was around the time when you were starting to focus your business and podcast more around astrology.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was funny because it was also the time that my Saturn, I have Saturn in Aquarius, and I was going through my Saturn return, and then my progress moon switched into Aquarius, and Aquarius it's like the sign of the astrology because it's like the
Yeah.
weirdo, it's ruled by Uranus as well. So that's when all the astrology came in, and then obviously the era of Aquarius and all of that, and it came to brought me really into deep into astrology for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes, all Aquarius, weird astrologers. But yes, and then yeah, then I moved into like I specialize in astrocartography. And then like did you like learn like astrocartography from me or did you hear that from other people as well? Um,
So oddly enough, it popped up on an Instagram paid content thing for me a little bit ago because one of the things that I really, really love maps. I've loved maps from a very young age. I used to follow along, like my parents would take me on road trips, and I would literally be in the back seat with like a map in my hand, following with my finger, showing everyone where we are on like the New Jersey Turnpike. And and of course, studying meteorology, weather is all about maps. Anything you
Mhm.
look at, the weather report on TV, you're going to be looking at a map. If someone's showing you where the severe storm risk is, where the hurricane risk is, you're going to be looking at a map. And so Instagram probably caught on that, first of all, I was into astrology, but then also that I was into maps. And so it
Yeah.
made sense. But I didn't know anything about it until you started talking about it. All I knew was that there was these maps with these lines. And it's like, all right, well, that's great. It looks interesting.
Yeah, 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 of course, Instagram knows you. So it's like, okay, astrology mobs. Okay, let's bring this thing to him. But yeah, it started to become more popular. I think in Europe it's still not popular, but in the US it's very, very popular astrocartography right now. And I want you, if you feel comfortable, to share as well how you like came and use an astrocartography as well to go deeper into like your personal growth journey. And well, you are a traveler as well. So yeah, you travel to different places, following that as well.
Yeah, so part of it was like learning a little bit about what to expect on, because some people have the luxury of just looking at an astrocartography map and just picking a place to go. Others have like other factors that came in. And for me, it was first of all going to Boise for my work at the time, which
Mhm.
is near one of my lines. And I'm forgetting which one, but there's one of my lines that like made it make sense why like those time periods were so different for me, while it felt the way it is. Um, same thing with like with some of these other trips I made. And then the following year I made a personal heritage trip essentially. I went to Naples. So most of my family heritage is from the Campania region. And
Mm.
so I, kind of saw like what lines were kind of near there, planned a side trip to Sardinia to, tack on one of the, because I have another line that comes up
Yeah.
like up and down right by Sardinia. And then certain other trips, like just like when I need to have some, I don't know, like dreamy space. I had a great time recently when I was in Wisconsin, and I was like pretty much
Mm.
right where I went was like right on my Neptune line.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
was just one of
True.
these like real great social encounters where I managed to go on a bender, which if you're not familiar, benders when you drink 3 days in a row or
Oh.
more. I was on a bender, yet I still managed to give an impromptu a weather Q&A session to a group of children ages 6 to 9.
Oh, wow. You were tuned in like this Neptune energy. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah,
look at your lines as well that you had in Italy to remember. Yes, you had an ascendant north node line, so like coming
yeah.
to help you with your purpose. And then what did you have in Sardinia? Your Mars, I see line. Okay, so Mars energy, that you are an Aries rising, so you're ruled by Mars as well. How did you feel to be in those lines in Italy?
Well, it was really interesting because I felt like, you know, I mean, I'm trying to think about how I felt in Sardinia versus how I felt in Naples. And in Sardinia was interesting. I ended up learning quite a bit about my, heritage even in Sardinia because that was actually the first place where I encountered
Hmm.
the Inquisition prison, and I didn't realize the extent of what that was about. Like, like remember hearing about the Spanish Inquisition when I was growing up, but it was just like an item in the history book, and you can kind of learn about a bunch of other things. And for some reason, like the junior high version of me that first learned about it thought this was something that only happened in Spain. And it was like,
Hmm.
and they really kind of praised it. Our history teaching in this world right now can oftentimes be, well, not so great, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was led to believe that the Inquisition was mostly them just like kind of kicking Jews out of Spain. And that's kind of like the main narrative I had gotten from it. So it was interesting being in tune with that, but also I took this like random wood carving class in Sardinia because like they have apparently these villages in the middle of the islands in the area called the Blue Zones, which is actually one of the
Yes.
things I wanted to visit. And it's like there's a section of the island in the middle that's in a blue zone, and each one of those villages has their own like craft that people do. So I actually started learning how to do, wood carving while trying to understand people, speaking to me in Italian. Luckily, I had a translator, and knowing Spanish, I can understand like maybe every third word and try to piece some things together. But being able to kind of just make that happen was, really kind of because it was like I suddenly found myself Sardinia is a place most people go to for like boat vacations, and I did some of
Yeah.
that as well. But
Hmm.
all of a sudden, I was in an able of doing. I was building things with and I was cooking pasta with like a big group of people, and I ended up having the something that really kind of started me thinking about my own childhood, which is that on this Blue Zone tour, they get everyone together. We all learn how to make pasta, the Sardinian style, and even their special bread, which I'm forgetting what it is. And then we have this like
Yes.
the long big table and the 5 course meal that I kind of grew up with, in the Italian American tradition, where you came in, they would bring out they even brought out the antipasta first and everything,
Mm.
and then we went through all the courses, and I was just like kind of almost staring like into my own past in a way.
Mm. Yeah, that's interesting because yes, that's Italy, like big tables and families, and also like the fact that you went there and you make that happen, like on a Mars line, like Mars being the
Yeah.
kind of drive and motivation, and it was an IC line, so IC it's about the past, the roads, like
Mm.
a family home as well. It makes so much sense, and I don't know, that's random and it's like not related, but in part related. Have you watched the movie like Nonnas? Because that's the movie that it's about the Italian American culture in like based in I think yeah it's in New York. It's in not Long Island, but what's the other island that you can go? Staten Island. So
Oh,
the
yeah, Staten
this
Island. Yeah.
Italian movie like Italian American these nonnas like that's the Italian word for grandma. They were like opening this restaurant with this person. You have to watch it because I think you will like it. Uh,
Yeah.
in
I
like
did watch
Netflix
some
and
of the
things.
Yeah, I did watch some of the show My Brilliant Friend, which is a show that is actually set in Naples to try to
Okay. Oh yeah, the one that you
um
told me in dialect or
yeah, yeah. And I mean they're always like there's some subtitles there,
titles. Yeah.
obviously. But like yeah, the show is just like it's like kind of it's a 4 season lifelong show about these two girls who are like best friends on and off kind of from their very young age. And they grow up in this like poorer neighborhood of Naples. And you see the family dynamics there, which is like there's people yelling at each other and talking like this the whole time, and
Yeah.
just try to understand the world because I'm trying to understand in the end what kind of patterns I'm trying to break, to be honest.
Yeah, that comes from yeah, from your family lineage. Did you have a little bit of understanding, like when you were there in Italy, even especially in the area near Naples, that it's like your north node, so helps you to grow into your rising sign as well. Did you have like
Yeah,
some insights as
yeah.
well?
I had two places in the Naples and Campania area. One was actually the Archaeological Museum of Naples because there you learn so much about the history
Yeah,
of everything. And I went there first, and then I went to the town where my great grandfather was born, and it's a town called Cicciano. I always pronounce it wrong. My grandmother always corrects me when I pronounce it wrong, but yeah. So I went to this town, Cicciano, and there was a square, and I just stood there, and I had this really profound revelation that actually helped me really kind of turn the page on my own thoughts and feelings about my parents because I was looking at this and I said to myself, this place is foreign to me, even though I'm only 3 generations removed. I don't speak the language, I don't know the culture, whichever, right? But it's foreign to me because of decisions my great grandparents made 6 to 8 decades before I was born. And it made me really realize this whole idea about what happens when you try to control everyone's decisions based on this idea that any decision anyone makes could potentially impact you. I don't know, a lot of people have that, there's that temptation, that instinct where it could be like, okay, this person is doing this and that might affect me. That person's doing that and that might affect me. So I need to try to control their behavior.
Mm,
And I realized that I came to this final realization that that's like a really like a fool's journey because if everyone in the world decided to try to do that, and then we'd end up in what I refer to as a Kantian nightmare based on the philosophy of this man named Immanuel Kant, who really did want you to consider how everything you do might affect everybody and would lead to a
wow.
ton of indecision.
Yeah, yeah. That was like, yeah, a deep and profound realization as well. To like go there and be immersed in like your something that maybe you haven't experienced, but your soul knows also generational, your ancestors there with you. That's like a beautiful, deep realization. Yes. So that was your recent trip, like one of your recent trips. Or what was your most recent trip, the work one? In the Neptune line.
So So actually, I went back to a Neptune line last week. I went to a
Ooh,
conference called CultureCon, and CultureCon bills itself as we're creating the future of work. Oddly enough, it was in the town Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to graduate school.
Mm.
So I literally, on my Neptune line, found myself at the intersection of my past and future
Oh,
because I was
wow.
able to walk
Yeah.
through the campus and the building where I study atmospheric science and where I was plotting, a life for myself in the field of like meteorology research. But now I'm at this conference, which very much is like pointed toward where I've gone in life. The only reason I'm even here at this conference at the time was because of all these like weird realizations I came to. The person that invited me to join the group that brought me into this conference is someone that has a similar business to mine around coaching people through screen time and presence. And had I not come to this profound realization that I need to treat these people as collaborators rather than competitors, I would have never been there.
Wow, on a Neptune line. And also you said like the past and the future, like Neptune rules Pisces. So it's kind of a karmic end of a path, like moving from Pisces to, I think like you are really on a path like this year to, and the next couple of years to embody even more your ascendant because Saturn will move there like in the next year or so, and then Neptune a little bit farther along the line, but it will be on near that for many years. So it really like all comes back to the first reading that we had that you talk about the ascendant. I don't know
Oh
many
yeah.
years ago, but it's all like coming back to the fact that now you're really called to embody that and to really step into that also for your business with that Mars on the opposite side. And I don't know if you feel that because also we had like the Aries Libra lunar nodes in the past couple of years. So this is even more like maybe that was breaking free. Now this is building again. Do you feel like is that the case for you right now in this stage of life?
Yeah, it's been kind of like a pull and tug. And to be
Mm,
100% honest, the Neptune and Pisces turned out to be a pretty rough transit for me. I talked about the dark night of the soul, but as
mm,
a Aries ascendant, which, probably I don't know if that corresponds to me being solidly extroverted person. I
yeah.
like really thrive on being out and about and going places. And Neptune and you know Pisces was the period all about people staying home and looking at videos online, and so it really kind of ends up being a struggle. But oddly enough, it was around Pluto's first ingress into Aquarius in
Mm.
March of 2023 when I started to feel that energy around me shifting. And a couple of things have really been shifting since then. First of all, I felt like there's more people wanting to meet up, people wanting to like have that, more people interested in cutting down on their screen time. But also since then, I've like randomly found myself in a lot more places. And I don't know if this is any of the transits or if this is the whole like spiritual thought creates form and it comes back to you. But I've ended up in a lot more places where people are just totally on a positive vibe where like you come in and there's some groups of people and they thrive around we're going to put these people down. It's an us versus them.
Yeah.
We're better than them. We're going to try to one up each other. But these groups where everything's just a completely positive vibe just suddenly started showing up more and more frequently. This conference, it's a work conference about people promoting a lot of HR type of stuff. And it was completely like nothing but a positive vibe the whole time.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. And yeah, yeah, I feel like for you, Aries rising Sagittarius, it's like that Pisces energy and being more like when we go into water and earth sign, it's more introverted. So for you as an extroverted, extroverted person, it's really like hard. Now we have a little bit more of like extroverted energy with all that fire and Uranus in Gemini, Pluto in Aquarius, that it's air. We still have some like Pisces energy that you will feel in September, maybe
Mhm.
because we have the eclipse and the eclipse axis is now Virgo Pisces, so it's more introverted energy. But like from next year, when they will move into the axis of Leo and Aquarius as well, probably for you, it will be just thriving in that extroverted energy as well. So yeah, the next couple of years to come from next year when this sign establish into their like sign for the next couple of years or beyond. that will be like definitely something good also for your ascendant. Do you remember? I don't remember the degree of your ascendant, if it's an early degree or a late degree.
I think it's actually right in the middle.
Okay.
I'm feeling like I remember 17 degrees, and I actually have
Okay.
it saved in my photo album. I can pull it out, but I think it's
Let
in the
me
middle.
check. Yeah, it's 16 degrees. So you are in the
Okay,
in
yeah,
the middle of it. So yes, Saturn will hit there next year, because Saturn goes faster and then Neptune will catch up in a while. But yes. Oh yes, they will hit like not only like that part, but you have a lot of things on the opposite side, as you were saying. In Libra, on the other side, you have Pluto, um,
yeah, Mars.
you have Mars, you have Saturn as well. So yeah, yeah, it will be a lot going on for you in the next years as well, with all those oppositions as well. And you are like, yes, extroverted with Sagittarius, Sun in the ninth house. Like you definitely thrive more in like air and like fire season instead of like maybe water and earth. But you're also like channeling that water and earth in your business, helping people to be present. And so
Yeah,
so that's also there's this earthy and yeah, earthy side as well, which is very interesting as well. But yeah.
yeah. Well, one thing I was told about the circular birth chart is that you look at the chart and that like you can like draw a line down the middle, and then like the top half tends to be your extroverted, you're out and
Mhm.
about, and then your bottom half is more your inward. And so what having everything in my chart in that top right,
Yeah.
I mean it's pretty much all like just really heavily in that top right,
Yeah.
really told me was that and I don't know, you might have mentioned it too about how it's like it's a lifetime where I'm meant to be more driven externally and driven out into the world rather than like within myself as much.
Yeah, exactly. Because the first six houses are more internal, like things that you are here to work with internally. But the top of the chart, the next six houses, it's all external. So you have everything, almost everything there. And in houses like seventh, relationship, eight, like transformation, ninth, that it's the house of like expanded horizon and beliefs and all of that. So it makes so much sense for sure. It makes so much sense. But yeah, to wrap up here, like from the readings we'd have, what was your like experience takeaways from that as well?
Well, first of all, in the first reading we did, I remember you also talking about how in my chart there's a lot of, ninth house energy,
Hmm.
and that like leads to like a pursuit of truth,
Yes.
which, is a lot of like kind of why I'm always investigating things and why I'm always really, I do struggle a lot when I see people kind of repeating things that are wrong over and over again and don't seem to be really interested in going any deeper than some surface level, like in American politics, like someone just repeating a slogan is the thing that really sets me off for some reason. It's like, did you even think about it? Or are you just saying like these five words that a lot of other people are saying to sound like a part of a tribe? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So things like that, that's like kind of what really struck out me on the first reading. And then in the more recent reading, you talked a lot about this progressed moon and where it's moving and how mine is currently in Gemini. And
Mhm.
so one of the things I talk about when I recently showed a friend of mine my astrocartography chart. She
Okay.
was
Nice.
yeah, she was interested in it, and so I pulled up the chart and I showed her what this meant, and then I said, you can look at each one, and I remember you explained to me what the AC, the DC, the IC, and the MC lines all meant within the chart. So there's like a way you can synthesize, like kind of like what you were saying before about like it was like a Mars IC line, and therefore it's like action, but action around like identity about like who you
Yeah.
are and stuff like that, right? You can synthesize that. I told her that, and I said, but what Luana is able to do is look at your chart, look at the upcoming transits, and determine, okay, like based on right now, because one thing that happens in astrocartography is there's a lot of lines.
Yeah,
And you
so
can look
many.
at it and they can just say, like, oh, there's a bunch of lines here. Why don't I go here? As opposed to be like, okay, based on what's happening now in my chart, where, whether it be progressed moon or whether it be these planets crossing my ascendant soon, which lines are the right ones to be kind of looking at. And the last reading, I remember you suggested some places that are like in the eastern U.S. based on where I have, a couple of my lines that, would be like near Washington, D.C., although probably not specifically Washington, D.C. based on what's going on right now, but
Yeah.
there's other places in the area, even central Pennsylvania or upstate New York that could be, really interesting to go to. And so, yeah, figuring that out now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think because astrocartography, you can open your chart and then see all the planets, but then it's so people forget that it's based on your birth chart. So maybe if my sun it's in Taurus, maybe a Venus line is better for me. Your sun is in Sagittarius, so maybe a Jupiter line is better for you. So it's important to see that aspect. And also, as you said, like I use a lot the progress moon or the current transit or progression because yeah, the birth chart never changes, but then like you evolve, you learn and grow. And so where you are right now, it's important. Like I will never send you like on a like quest Sagittarius line, like Jupiter line during a Pluto transit, like Scorpio progress moon that you are like go deeper into yourself, it will be not useful for you. So yeah, definitely
Yeah.
there's a lot of things to look at for sure and to consider. So yeah, I'm glad you're exploring a little bit of other like places for you during this Gemini progress moon. Because again, you are in an external phase as well. Gemini progress moon, it's a like extroverted external like phase for you as well. So yeah, I'm excited for you because I know you love this energy. So
Yeah. Yeah. Not that introspection doesn't have its like important place. And, I do a lot of journaling
yeah.
myself. So, I'm trying to be balanced and all that stuff. But yeah, it was hard to be in a very everyone just wants to coop up at home era for a while.
Yeah, and also like looking at your chart ruler, having Aries rising, your chart ruler is Mars. Mars wants
Yeah.
action and things going on. Like Mars, if it stops, like like for example in Pisces or in these water signs, it's like detrimented. It doesn't like it needs to move. So for you, you're ruled by Mars, and by default, you're like more into moving. And then obviously you need to like pause as well. You need to reflect because we all do. We all have these four elements within us. But then obviously for you, when you might also get reflection or insights on the go while you're moving, while you're traveling or doing things. So yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things I have trouble like even communicating with people sometimes, that some of my best ideas come about when I'm like in motion. Like even if it's like I'll go for a 50-mile bike ride and then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, this is the idea.
Yeah, yeah, you have to be in motion. You are a Mars ruled person. You need to
Yeah.
be around. It's like for me, it's when I talk to people because I'm Virgorizing, I'm ruled by Mercury. When I talk to people,
Hmm.
I get this idea. I got this idea while I was talking to my branding coach, and I was like, I want to like bring my also my clients on the podcast. And she was like, okay, what do we think? We mastermind a little bit, and then this idea came.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we have to know. So like that's why I love astrology because when you validate like the things that you're already experiencing, then you can really bring them into your like day-to-day life and use them, not just like know that, but you can use it. You know that. So okay, you need to get an idea. Let's go out for a bike ride and get this idea. Or let's like go into the mountains, move. So that's important. And I'm glad to know that you know that and you realize it and you do that as well.
Yeah. And I think the key is understanding it like fully, because just
Mhm.
understanding that, okay, I'm a Sagittarius. like just saying I'm a Sagittarius does not tell you that terribly much other than what time of year I was born in and that
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to be happy as like fully just completely secular agnostic, just like all you think about is life now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like going deeper, like in anything, you have to go deeper if you want to like really get the most out of it. Like you cannot just be surface level, you have to go down and really connect with that. And then that's when you really connect with yourself and then you can use it. But yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing also your astrology experience, sharing how you enjoyed astrology and astrocartography and all of that. And if people want to connect with you and know more about also your business, what you're doing, where can they find you?
Yeah, so it's Stephen, StPhenJaye. You can find me on LinkedIn as well as Instagram, and I'm on X, but I don't really post that much. And then my website is reclaimyourtime.co. And this will redirect you from lesscreentime.com. But reclaimyourtime.co and Reclaim Your Time is also the name of my YouTube channel, where I
Yes.
post some videos about ideas about how we can kind of form a better balance in our relationship with technology.
Yeah, so if you are watching on YouTube, subscribe here, go follow Steven as well, and go to find him on his website, LinkedIn, and all of that. So thank you so much.